Matt podcast, where we discuss the connection between life and acting.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Mornings with Matt. It's a beautiful day today. I woke up late.
Same.
Well, yeah, you guys woke up by me, so I know you were up late. But late for me, it was I think it was about 5:15 in the morning, which is I should already be gone by then. And it was the best way to wake up though. My little toddler Finn smacks me in the face. I'm like laying on the side of the bed. He's like, "Dad, up, hen." He wants me to read his book, Henry. So we did that, and he then Leanne, of course, is like, "I'm taking full advantage of the fact that you're home right now." So Finn's gonna take a shower with you. He's gonna do the whole morning routine, which he did. Finn got in some Bible time this morning.
Nice.
And yeah, it was good. It was a very, very good morning. I'm feeling stoked. How about you guys? How you feeling?
I mean, it wasn't an ideal. It wasn't an ideal wake-up situation. Because it was a phone call. I didn't have a toddler slap me in the face.
Oh, it's awesome.
Maybe I should slap him in the face.
You need to get your own toddler. You got Brian.
I could slap him in the face next time.
No, here's the thing. When Brian slaps someone in the face, it feels like you just got decked because it's like stuck in a knuckle.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It hurts. And every time he does it, he still does it. And then I'm like, Brian, ow, stop.
Can't help it.
Well, how about you? We've got a guest on today.
That we do.
You guys know that?
I do know that.
I did know that.
Pretty excited about it.
I'm very excited about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to put our hands together here from Ms. AJ Crane.
I guess the morning is not ideal unless you have a toddler smacking you in the face. Right?
Good morning. How's your morning going?
Beautiful. I got to sleep with the door open last night. It was so nice, a good breeze coming in. So there's nothing more than like perfect than hearing the birds' first song in the morning.
Yes.
So
my kids and I, we got more outside time yesterday than we've had in the last 2 months. So
yeah, it's amazing. I'm so excited.
I think everyone in Arizona right now is just celebrating.
It's 100 degrees, but
I think we totally lost the old signal.
Perfect time to suck with that sunshine.
Yes. Good. So, your signal went out for a second.
Back.
You're back now. Yeah. So AJ, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being on this morning. We're very excited to have you. So you are a personal trainer, correct?
Yes. Oh, I feel like I'm kind of losing the signal a little bit here.
Yeah, we're getting choppy.
All right.
Okay, so
is it me?
I'm not sure, but it's not us.
All right. It's not. It's all right.
I'm just playing. It could be us.
It's me. All right.
All right. So, tell me if I pronounce this correctly. It's I was setting you up because I didn't want to have to mispronounce your gym. Los Campiones?
Yeah, Los Campiones.
Los Campiones.
Los Campiones. Yes, it's Champions. It's actually owned by Ryan Nelson.
Well, I've heard it's otherwise known as the best gym in town.
The best gym in town, absolutely by far.
So tell us about Campiones. It sounds awesome.
So, we're based on plant-based nutrition. Of course, you can eat whatever diet you want, but a lot of bodybuilders come from all over the country to train there. It's great energy. Not your traditional gym. You can check it out 24/7. It's hidden a little nook off of Price Road and Apache Boulevard. We opened in 2018 November, and it just brings kind of a different meaning and energy to the whole bodybuilding game. So we stayed open through the.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
We were open through COVID. We've got anyway. You just got to come check it out. The energy's like. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, I would be honored to come down there and check it out. That would be amazing. I have a question for you. When did you get into the bodybuilding game yourself personally?
So in 2008, I had some surgery. I had a kidney removed, went through a long recovery process, and just kind of do healing and learn healing through nutrition and training. I do experience what plants will cut meat products out of my diet, and I just found that training and keeping my body moving every day was like an extreme precursor to a massive healing experience. That's another story, but it's been a beautiful experience, and I couldn't imagine not being up at the gym every day. Sometimes I'll skip a day, you know, every week or two, but I try to get in there every day to do something.
So did you feel you feel different, right? Like you feel more energy, more vital inside since you made the choice to eat in this way?
Absolutely. It's almost like we're energy, right?
Yeah.
We're made of the same thing that this planet's made of and that the stars are made of, right? And the planets and the stars, they all work in this perfect harmony and all of these things. And because we're made of that, and people will admit that we're made of the same stuff, a lot of people have a hard time wrapping their mind around that we operate at the same level.
Yeah.
Right? So, and you know, energy knows, like, it just, the world, source, God, you know, the supreme being, we all, you know, contribute to that and are all connected in some way. And it knows, you know, animals know, the world, the planet that's alive knows. So there's more to it than just diet.
Right.
You know, it's
well, I can tell you, I believe in all this stuff quite a bit. I had a personal trainer who was a good friend of mine that I was working with for quite a while, and he taught me a couple different things that I could do throughout the year. His mother actually died of cancer, and so he taught me a couple different methods that I can do throughout the year to help, because that's what he does. And he's like super ripped, this guy, like one of the biggest dudes I know. And he would do this like plant-based, you know, just really clean. At least once per quarter, he would go through this process of cleaning out his body. And he said for him, it was a cancer prevention measure, was essentially the process he was going through. Now, he eats pretty clean all the time, but it was one of those deals where, you know, I would tell people I was going through this process, and they would think, well, you don't need to lose weight. And I'm like, it's not about that. Like, this isn't, like, I'm telling you, the guy that told me about this is huge. So this is not about losing weight. And I think that myth has been debunked. But for the longest time, I think that the theory was you had to eat a bunch of meat in order to gain muscle. And and that's not the case, as it turns out.
Correct. It's kind of like cutting out the middleman. We don't realize all of the chaos that we create for ourselves here, right? So how can you truly absorb a nutrition that an animal's already digested and used? You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It's kind of like expecting to absorb vitamins A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P without getting the real vitamin D from the sunshine,
Right.
So, you know, we all need that. But you know, I put a post on Instagram the other day about DHA and omega fatty acids, and so many people think they need to have fish and fish oil to get that. You don't. Where do the fish get it? Right? So why not help move our ecosystem and fix them? You know, it cut out the extra step that we create for ourselves. You know, I mean, a cow doesn't even eat meat. An elephant does not. Some of the strongest, largest animals in the world that live the longest and are very, very smart, very intelligent. We can all admit that elephants are very intelligent creatures,
100%,
right?
yeah.
They do not eat meat. They don't run around tearing each other apart, you know, like the other animals that consume that. So, I mean, and you know, we don't, like milk, for instance. Females, we don't lactate after our children or infants. So whatever gave us humans the idea that we're supposed to drink milk, especially from another creature, for our entire lives, is beyond me. But I didn't always think that way. But once I began to analyze the why and what I do, so it's definitely a new experience. It's like, you know, another way to put it, I mean, I could go on about this for hours, but another way to think about it is, you know, it's okay to eat one animal but not the other. You know, if you saw the neighbor slicing its dog's throat, skinning it, throwing it on the grill.
It's called a hot dog.
That wouldn't be okay.
That was a good dad joke. That was a good dad joke.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Little things. It just, yeah. So it's not just about the nutrition part. It's a different experience, and it just you've got to. I can say a million things about it, but until you actually experience it and learn, it's like I can't even put a word on it, Matt.
I guess I recommend it. Yeah, I think it's awesome, and I can tell you that I'm very curious in this world. I've dabbled a little bit. I've never gone all in. Probably like I love the strength of the elephant, and there's just a little bit of lion in me that just wants to tear through some things, and that's probably okay. Some sort of a balance for different people or different choices, right? Obviously, but yeah, no, I'm very curious, and I can tell you every time I've gone plant-based for a period of time, I feel amazing, and I know it. I feel clearer in my head. I feel vibrant. Like there's no doubt that there's something to it, and I don't need to understand the science. I actually just feel it firsthand. It's like, okay, something different is going on inside me right now. I come home after a long day and I have more energy than I usually do times 10 to be with my kids. And I'm going, well, there's something to this right now that's probably worth looking into for a long-term lifestyle.
Absolutely. The other part of it, and I'll try to keep this to a minimum, but the other part of it is everything that's living thrives to survive, right? This planet that we are on that grows plants and trees, it's alive. And when you stand on the moon, you can't even see us, right? So this earth does not need us to survive. And when anything alive feels threatened, what's the first thing that it's going to do? Eliminate whatever's threatening it. And we're kind of doing that. So when you think about that bigger thing that most people don't even realize they're feeding into destroying what, on another word, in one moment you're saying I'm appreciative, or we as a human, as a species, as a human race are grateful for life and every day that we have, but are we acting as if? I'm a firm believer that love is a state of being. It's not, okay, I decide I'm going to love this thing or love that thing, or you're a Bible man, you understand. And when you read Corinthians, if you really read about what love is, it's all of those things are a state of being. So being able to maintain that all the time, I believe, is taking a look at why we do these things we do. And it's life-changing. It will take you to a whole nother level it's something that you have to experience it's just,
I'm with you. I'm with you. And I believe that we share that belief, actually, 100%. I would say that, of course, we're human over here, but we've definitely made that choice. Our values at Deering Acting Studio are passion, love, mastery. It's very important that love is in the middle, because love is the center of everything we do. Every decision we make begins from love. And that's just a choice that we make. So I wake up happy. I wake up grateful for today, every single day. That's another choice. But the idea of putting love first, whenever we achieve that thing, it doesn't mean it's easy, but it just means things are gonna turn out probably better in the end, if that was your true intention always. And so it's usually, as a matter of fact, usually it's hard. I mean, you run into situations and you're like, really? I gotta love that person, or I gotta find a way to be loving in this situation? That stinks. But no, I mean, it's definitely given us so much freedom. I can tell you, as a team, and you guys can attest to this, the idea of like how much freedom you feel when asked to do something or confronted with any kind of a situation, and you've put love at the center of that decision. It's like, okay, you can have peace about it, right? I mean, automatically you can talk to any student about anything as long as you're coming from love.
And confidence too, when you're coming from that place, you have the peace, but you also have the confidence. Whereas when you make another decision that's that you're not sure about, if somebody critiques you or has something to say about it, it's a lot harder to stand on the decision you made versus feeling defeated or like you did something wrong and you shouldn't have tried in the first place. But if it's coming from love, then it's something where you don't have to feel that way. you always feel like, okay, well, even if I could have done it better, I did it from love. So like, I'm not gonna be mad at myself for that.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So AJ, we're
all in this.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. We're all in this together, and just love is understanding. We don't all have it right, but if we can all come together out of love and have the right intention, and intention is love, love is intent. You got it. And it's not easy. It's not easy. That's why our world has come to what it is, because it's not easy. It's a hard thing to do. Putting yourself in check with love it's not an easy thing to do. But once you get it, it is the most strongest, most powerful energy and intuition intention, most powerful thing in the entire universe. Right?
100%.
Yep.
100%.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna transition because I want to get over to improvisation. I want to spend the bulk of our show there because I know you've got some great questions for us revolving around improv. But let's really quick. There was something that you wrote down that piqued my interest. You said you were on the tail end of a healing journey, which led you into acting. So you want to just give us like a brief idea of what that was? Was that something that came up when you took a break from your acting, or are you talking about before that?
So I had began a healing process. Like I said, I had lost a kidney, had a kidney removed. Had I known the things about diet, and maybe if I was plant-based before, that wouldn't have happened. But on another note, I believe that acting is sometimes we fear feeling emotion in things. Like a lot of people don't express or feel emotion, and we all have an imagination. So anything that you create, you have to imaginate first, right? Whether it's doing better, healing. Sometimes we're put in situations that we don't ask for, but I believe that the power of that, you get the power of that when you understand that I guess so many people say it's not the situation you're put in, but how you, and learning to feel through those things is really important, number one. But number two, I believe when you learn a new way or you've experienced something that so many people have experienced and you learn a better way to handle it and deal with it, it's important to share that. And that comes through imagination. So my healing journey, a lot of it, my imagination led me through a lot of it, whether it was waking up and just staying in a specific character all day to get through the day, something good, I know where I'm trying to go with this, but just our mind, basically our imagination is very powerful.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's like if you believe it and conceive it, you can achieve it type deal. And it's so true. Correct. Like you have to be able to see the other side and believe it to be true, or else it won't come true. As a matter of fact, Joey and I even talked about something like this similar recently, where I was able to, when he first started here, help him see a version of himself that he couldn't see. And I kept telling him, and eventually he believed it, and now he's lived into this idea of being this professional that at first he didn't even, like, he literally told me, he's like, I don't think I could do that. And I'm like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. And let me tell you, here's exactly how you're going to be, and it's going to be better than you ever thought you were capable of doing. And then to his credit, he goes, okay. And he decided to believe it, and then one day at a time. It's not like it happened overnight, but the belief system changed overnight. And your imagination changed overnight. And now if we decide and we sit down and we go, you're capable of X, and you can imagine it to be true, it will then become true. That's what's amazing about it.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely one of those things where even though it wasn't an overnight shift, it felt like one. And now it's hard to even remember back then, because it's been so long. We've come so far, but being somebody who knew nothing about the position I was going to take over, I was like, well, can't commit to that because I do not know the things, and this is like a business.
I was like, you're going to commit to that, and I'm going to teach you how to do it along the way.
Yeah,
all right,
really
so
cool.
So through all that, then you found improvisation, and you've got some good questions for us. I know there's a lot of actors out there listening, and so what questions specifically can we help you with improv that we might be able to help other people with same type of questions?
Okay. So the first thing I have is, what is your experience and success with coaching new actors and trusting their intuition? So, and Brian can tell you this, one thing that I've struggled with in improv class is when we're doing plays or whatnot, jumping in as support for my team, trusting that instinct of when it's right, because I'll take a step forward, like I'll have an idea in the middle of the scene, but then second guessing it or visualizing the outcome before it's there instead of just going with what I'm feeling in that moment, staying present.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
I think
what you're saying is really powerful, and I can tell you that it's probably the hardest part of improv to achieve. And so I'm going to give you this key right now that's going to open up everything for you. The thing that's getting in your way is that you're letting your imagination go too far, and so you're in this place where you're imagining the outcome. Like you said, you're already 3 or 4 steps ahead, and you have to be just listening precisely in the moment. Now, if you're doing that, you get this gut instinct. Okay, the gut instinct says go. And I can tell you that this was my biggest weakness for years and years and years when I was performing improvisation, because I directed improv and I taught improv more than I did improv. So I would oftentimes see the scene from a director's standpoint or a coach's standpoint, and I could see what was wrong. I could see what could have been better. I could see all these different angles. I could see of all what the possibilities of where it could go. And I really struggled with following that instinct immediately and jumping in the moment, because I'm already 3 or 4 steps ahead, and I was worried, what if I can't help people get onto my idea? Then we're never going to get to that place we're supposed to get to. And then I would try to do that and then bomb, or I'd go out a little bit late, and then the moment's passed, and I try to like bring everyone back to my idea, which is backwards. It was 3 seconds ago, and that moment has now gone. So here's how I flipped it. Go back to what we talked about earlier, love. If you don't go out and you had that instinct, where did the instinct come from? It came from love. It came from this idea of, I'm totally present, I'm listening, I believe wholeheartedly. If it comes from this place of love, wholeheartedly, this move is going to help the scene. This move is something, like me, just my presence alone is something that, for whatever reason, on the inside, I'm feeling like I should do it. If I don't do that thing, I'm being selfish.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So now it's not about you. It becomes a selfish move not to go out. And then you have to deal with that after class and go, why was I being so selfish? And how can I love better? Because the way you can love, the way you can support, is you go out immediately and then you listen for, how may I serve you? How may I serve the scene? How may I serve the stage in this moment right now? And you listen for those moments. So maybe I had the idea to come out as sort of a crazy mom character. And so I make that move, and I just put crazy mom in my eyes. That's my choice, but I'm still going to listen and go, okay, where does she fit into this whole thing? Then if whatever reason I get named something, cool, I could turn crazy mom into crazy principal or crazy police officer or crazy waitress or whatever it is, because I'm open to suggestion as I move along, and it's not going to throw me because I didn't force my idea on you. I just said, here, it feels to me like you need some help. Mm-hmm. The best thing I can do to love you is to come out and share my idea. Now let me be open from there, and I'll just go where we go, because my job right now is to serve you, not to try to direct you or force you into what I think is best.
And that's awesome. Yeah. Going right into AJ, sort of what we did last night and what we're focusing on with our plays right now, right? In the service, and we're doing a cool exercise in our classes where they're having to write the intro for a play.
To get to?
Yeah. To get to what?
They get to write them?
Yeah, they get to. Sorry. Yes, thank you. They get to. They get to
write. That was super fun, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a blast. It was so cool. And the reason behind it was so that they could understand that you can have a vision for walking into a scene.
Yeah.
And then once it starts, be adaptable. So they would go through, they'd pick 2 actors, and those 2 actors would come out. They'd give them their first 2 lines. It's one line and then another. And they would give the setting of sort of what's going on in their mind. And then after that, the actors took it from there.
Right.
And so it was just this really cool thing to watch exactly that, adapting. like they just had to make a decision to have a point of view, to have a strong point of view of the character. And as soon as they did, everybody thrived. I mean, they totally thrived, and they were willing to be adaptable. And so it's this idea, like, if you're willing to do that, if you're really listening, the answers will find you.
Yeah.
Right? It's just really powerful. Love it.
Yeah, and that kind of goes, it was awesome because that's something, this is what I'm talking about acting into intention and love anyway. When you do things in love and good intention, the universe, God, will put things there for you to work with. For instance, the writing thing. I have been struggling with writing a story for a couple of years now, and I'll start it and then I'll tear it up and throw it away, or I'll think, oh gosh, how am I going to start this, or is it going to sound good? And last night and just this past week or two, I actually started typing up in my iPad. So the fact that you did that last night with the writing, and we had to sit with 5 minutes and write this beginning of this play, and the first 2 lines of the characters and stuff was just like, I needed that. It was perfect. So I just kind of wanted to bring that together about how love and intention, and where your intentions and thoughts are, how they play out I didn't call Brian and say, Brian, this is what I need. Like,
yeah,
the energy, God just knew that's what I needed in that moment. And I probably wasn't the only one. So it's very powerful. So I just wanted to touch that topic back on love and intention, and how it works in your favor when you have that and you are mindful about it. So,
well, thank you. And I got to give Brian some props here too, because we're always looking for new ways to innovate, new ways to find ways to deliver the information, help students understand particular concepts. So this is something he dreamed up, and of course, yes, from love. So the way we approach our classes, it can look on the outside very much like we sort of you just show up and we throw things together, and ideally we make it look easy. But we put a lot of time and thought and effort into every single month, every single progression, every 3-month quarter. Like, we really think, okay, what are we trying to take the students through? What kind of journey? And then if you look at the additional pressure we put on ourselves, honestly, is we want to be completely welcoming to anybody to come in. We want to be able to hit up a brand new student and make you feel like you're totally welcome. You're not a fish out of water. You can totally do this, and encourage you, while at the same time pushing and challenging somebody who's been with the program for years. And so that's the pressure we put on ourselves each and every month, to say we have one job, which is to make sure everybody in the room has fun, everybody in the room grows. And I'm talking about everybody. Mm-hmm. So our philosophy is, if we teach to the most experienced person in the room and the least experienced person in the room, if we teach to the most confident person in the room and the least confident person in the room, we're going to hit everybody else in the middle. But if there's somebody who lacks confidence, if there's somebody who is brand new to the program, let's say they're a teenager or a kid, I mean, we really shepherd them. We bring them in. We make sure that they are taken care of, while at the same time making sure that the person who's been here a very long time knows that, hey, you're a pro. We know you're a pro. We're going to push you to all new heights. And the coolest thing is, we've seen it happen right in front of our eyes in the adult program too, but especially you watch some of these kids when they started, and they literally could barely look you in the eyes or shake your hand. And then 6-8 months later, they're the ones giving the tour for the new kids. And they're like, hey, let me show you the stage. I mean, it's like an unbelievable experience to watch the transformation happen right in front of our eyes.
Absolutely. And really quick, before we move to AJ's next question, what I love about that is there's this thing that you really spoke on, and I think it comes from this too, is don't practice or practice what you preach, right? Mm-hmm. So don't come in and just teach something unless you're doing it yourself. So we ask people to keep progressing and to never stop growing. So how could we not be doing the same? And so as long as you're doing that, and in the classroom, I'll straight up say, like, hey, this is something that just came to me. So, and I learned this from you watching your master class. So this may be totally wrong. This may be a total, and when I started this exercise, I was like, it started with Thursdays last week, and I was like, this may be a total fail. But my gut's just telling me, like, let's try this thing and let's go through it. And we adapted, and it became this really cool thing. So
yeah, that's very cool. And then the other principle is it's great to ask this question in improv and in life. If this is true, what else is true? If this is true, what else is true? So Brian tries this exercise. He says, hey, this might fail. It's a Thursday class. It's teens. He loves the kids. They love him. He's like, all right, we'll try this thing. And he goes, wow, weird. Some great scenes. That really worked. I wonder if I introduced it into the adult class, if it would work. And then it works. And then it's like, okay, 2 in a row. If this is true, what else is true? Well, probably it's going to work for the youth program. Maybe this is something we should expand upon. Hey, perhaps we can spend 3 months on this idea, and maybe this could be a whole nother turning point for our program, and we decide to teach differently and better than we've ever taught before.
Yeah.
And as long as we're open to that, as long as I'm open and you're open, and we don't think to ourselves, oh, I know how it is. I'm, the way I do it is the way it should be. I hate that mentality. I think the idea should always be, you get my best self right now, which is wherever I am. And if I'm willing to acknowledge the fact that I don't know what I don't know, then I'm open to potentially changing or moving or growing. And also I can tell you, because I can honestly look you in the eyes and you go, yeah, but I was here a year ago and you said this. And I go, yeah, I did. I was so wrong about that.
Yeah, 100%.
Or I can say, I taught it for this reason, and here's why it was correct then. But actually, this is a faster, better way to get to the same result I was trying to get to, and I just didn't know what I didn't know back then. And then it's like, it's okay. I feel totally free to do that because I know I'm evolving and growing and changing.
Absolutely.
And that makes a great teacher. A great teacher is never done learning.
Yes,
right?
yes, and a great human being.
So much knowledge, you can never just stop learning something.
It's impossible.
And one other thing, Brian, I just want to touch point on the way that you did that with the writing. I think is huge, especially for new actors, myself, anyone that's new to it. It gave, and I shared this in class last night. It gave me a perspective from a writer's standpoint. Or a producer or anyone. So I think as an actor, it's important to understand the other people's roles on your team. And by writing and doing that, because not every actor writes and not every writer acts, etc. But when you understand where the other person's coming from, the listening, like when the writer actually got to come up and we got to express whether or not the scene played out how we expected it to. When the scene first started, it gave you an idea of were the actors really listening to what the writer was telling them in the huddle before we went on stage. So that is huge. And I didn't see it from that perspective before, I guess, is understanding how important it is to understand the writer's role and all of that and listening. And Matt, I've heard you say this before about being the best listener in the room, but it just kind of touches point on that. So that was huge. Last night was great. I really enjoyed that. I saw a whole new perspective than what I had seen before. So that was
good job, Brian Sweeney. Thanks.
And I think it gives you a big amount of respect for the writer and producer and cameraman and everybody, because you realize how hard it is.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer in the actor should write and should try to direct, and the director and writer should try to act and put some time into it, because if the writer can see what their actor's going to have to do one day and they're going to have to deliver the line, it gives you a whole new perspective on how I should write the lines. And as an actor, if you take the time to try to write some lines that are actually good and you're honest with yourself that yours are not that great compared to, say, a Pulitzer Prize winning play, you can then have a new appreciation, like Joey said, of the other person's profession and really take the time to dive into it. Speaking of AJ, so you would like to get into writing? You want to you have some ideas
amongst the team? Yeah.
Okay, so I've got advice for you.
Absolutely.
You have to approach this the same way you do your health. It's the exact same thing. Just begin small, but commit every day. So do 10 minutes of writing a day. Never throw anything away again. You're not allowed. So type it up, and then you can copy paste it over to a scraps folder. That's just like crap. Okay. So you actually, it's okay to write crap. It's okay to just kind of blah, blah, blah. Like you don't love whatever. And every now and then you'll find a gem, and then you got a gems folder or something. And so you just keep kind of compiling.
I'm making notes here.
But as you're daily writing, you are a writer. That's what it is. It's like anything else. So if I act every day, I'm an actor. If I write every day, I'm a writer. If you work out every day, you know, you're somebody who loves fitness. Like, it's clear, it's evident. And so over time that will build, and maybe one day you do go longer or whatever, but you have the one commitment is I'm going to do this 10 minutes every single day. I'm never going to miss.
Awesome. I love that.
So there we go. There we are. All right. So 10 minutes a day, never throw it away. Copy and paste into a scrap folder.
Yep.
Did I miss anything? Because you guys went blank for a minute.
Yeah, a couple things, but that's the gist. That's definitely the gist.
Okay.
Is stay consistent with it, and understand that over time, you'll already be a writer just by doing it every day. That's basically what it is. So I'll never forget when I hired my first editor. She read my book and she's like, "Oh, it's, you know, this is really good. I love the concepts here." And then she tore it apart, which I was hoping she would because I was paying her a lot of money. I don't want to hire somebody to tell me I'm good. And so she tore it all apart and she just said, "Hey, you know," I mentioned something to her. I was like, "I've never been a writer. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a writer or whatever." She goes, "Well, you wake up and write every day." I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Then you're a writer. I mean, you're 100%. You're a writer right now." She's like, but then she goes, "But when I'm done with you, you'll be an author." And I was like, "Oh, win-win. Good job. You nailed that one." I know, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, since we're on the subject of writing, one more thing. So I believe that there's truth in every story. There's a little bit of truth in every story that you see, no matter what movie it is, what film, and anything. There's always some truth in it somewhere. But taking those truths and turning them into something that's imaginary, you know, like, I think that's one of the things that, for instance, I don't want to go into great detail about the story that I'm working on writing, but there is truth to it, but also adding that imaginary, you know, not real, you know, making some unrealness to it, but real, you know, so connecting those two things, I think, because my mind can go way out and I'll end up with a paragraph that's like what could have been one sentence, but it ends up being, and then I'll end up on a whole nother path. Like I'll end up having 2 or 3 stories going on at one time. So staying in that one lane without taking it off into another story, you know, I'll have something and I'll write like 3 paragraphs. I'll find myself going off and then I'll type, but that's another story. But that's for another story. And then I'm like, oh, I can see a sequel to this already. Let me go back and how do I stay on the original?
Yeah.
You know,
so
that's something else that
so that's probably the dangerous part of our imaginations, because our imaginations are great and wonderful things and they need to be nourished and they have to be exercised. But we don't want to live there constantly. We have to find a way to bring ourselves down and into the reality and into what is this moment right now. And so if we allow ourselves to just go on to tangent to tangent to tangent, we're gonna go everywhere. So if we can just apply this writing principle to improv, it looks like this. In a situation where I want to bring, let's say there's going to be a moment of creativity or weird or something that's going to be like, we're going to blow this up, okay? And then we're going to throw on this like this big thing. Okay, so what's the realness? The realness is a father-son relationship. Okay, like that's what's real. Okay, so then I'm gonna go, let me put this into something weird. Okay, there, 2 fish are talking. There's talking fish. Okay, that could never exist, but here we are. There's talking fish. All right, but now from there, that's it. I don't want to keep putting on more weird stuff. I just want to have a really good, grounded father-son relationship and build around that. Because if I keep adding more things, if I add a vampire and now I add, you know, a space shuttle and I add all these different things, there's too many like outside forces trying to come in when I'm going away from the main thing. But if I can stick to the main thing, which is father-son relationship, and I found the vehicle, the creative vehicle from which I'd like to tell the story, because I believe it's more interesting to tell it through this lens, this creative lens, which usually it is, by the way, because most stories, like when we want to watch them, it's the peak, it's the pinnacle of somebody's life or the situation. Like we don't spend a whole lot of time watching the boring stuff. So it's like we want to get right to the action, right to whatever's best. If there's a way to heighten the situation, so like if there's a difference between that, this could be, you know, somebody could be doing this and they like it, or they could love it, or they could be obsessed with it. Like pick obsessed. Like that's a better choice. It's more heightened, right? So the movie I just described, of course, is Finding Nemo. Like, that's the movie. And it's super weird if you think about two talking fish, but it's not once you've said, okay, this is a world we believe. The world we believe in, certain animals can talk and understand each other.
Okay, the first thing I thought when you said talking fish, but it couldn't happen, I was like, what about Nemo, man?
You're all mad at me, yeah.
And then that's your example. So there you go.
Yeah. And of course, if fish can talk, then I say, if this is true, what else is true? Well, if fish can talk, does that mean there are vampires? It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that.
No.
If this is true, what else is true? If fish can talk, can sharks talk? Well, probably. That's logical.
That's fair.
Right? So if fish can talk, can fish talk to humans? Not necessarily. That's not the same thing.
No.
So you start going down that path and you're like, okay, how do I narrow this story to say, if this is the avenue I want to stick to, what makes sense to venture off and what doesn't, essentially?
Because I'll start with, okay, so this is going to be a love story. Oh, wait, no, this is going to be a healing journey story. And then another paragraph, it'll be, no, we're going to save the world. And then it turns into, so I'm like, how do I take the healing journey, the love story, and the changing the world and put them all into one story?
Easy. It is one story. And just think about this, though. It's always a love story.
So I'd like to jump in on this really quick.
Yeah.
Based on last night, AJ, based on last night. So you're seeing, she brought up this great question that a lot of improvisers do as they start out. There was this really emotional scene. I mean, very powerful. It was a breakup scene, but just like not like a superficial, like a long-term type relationship. We all felt it from the audience. And AJ, right off the bat, started to get really emotional. And we talked about it afterwards, but her struggle was she was like, she had much like many actors do when they come in, associated improv with comedy, with funny, with trying to be like throwing out jokes and whatever. And so she didn't think she could let herself get emotional. She didn't think it was okay to like get fully into this because she's supposed to be funny. Well, if we use your Nemo example, like that movie is so funny, but it's also very, very emotional. I mean, the dad is trying to find his son.
The mom dies in the first 25 seconds, and the dad mourns her right on camera. I mean, it's tough.
It's very, very, very tough and powerful, and we keep watching for this reason.
Well, because they raise the stakes, they got you to emotionally connect to the characters. So I care about you. It's a love story.
Absolutely.
Finding Nemo is a love story between a father and a son. It's a love story. You take the movie Taken, which is what Liam Neeson.
I will find.
I'm a guy with a particular set of skills. I mean, it's a how most people describe that, an action movie, right? A kick butt movie. That's a love story between a father and a daughter. Nobody cares about this guy going and kicking everyone's butt unless his daughter is that there's this high stakes there, and unless they establish the love between those two characters in the beginning, then no one cares that Liam Neeson can beat everybody up. But once you care and you believe in the love part of the story, now it's like, I don't care if he kills everybody.
Come on, let's go. Get your daughter back, man.
Yeah.
So my point is, you're writing a love story. Like, you can't get away from that. It's a love story always, because every story that's worth listening to is a love story. Everything centers in love. Okay.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I did that scene. I felt myself immediately. I could feel like there were so many things about that play scene, that scenario, that hit the same subject with me all at once. And I felt like this hurricane of emotion to start to roll in me. And I was like, no, AJ, not right. This is not, because I don't know if I would have been taken for a while. It would have turned into a 20-minute scene if I would have let it go. And I stopped myself. And maybe I should have I know now that I should have just went with it.
Yep,
it would have been very beautiful. And,
let me interrupt you here really quick. So the second you said no, AJ, you let yourself be selfish. And so I'm gonna reprogram your mind to understand.
Okay.
Whoops. That was me being selfish. That was me letting my imagination go someplace. Because I told you, imagination can be bad. Because if you let your imagination go to a place that's like, oh, well, this could happen, then this could happen, then I could do a 20-minute scene, and everyone's going to go, oh, AJ, it's so annoying when you're on stage because you take 20-minute scenes, and like before you know it, the whole class is throwing tomatoes at you, and that's all in your imagination, and it's BS.
Correct.
But if you allow yourself to go to this grounded, really awesome, guttural, emotional place, think about how unselfish this is, because somebody else in the audience is probably feeling the same thing you're feeling. We've all experienced the same feels. So watching you express it makes them feel like better about themselves. They connect into the scene. Somebody listening off stage is going to go, oh man, I know exactly where to go next. And I can tell you, an improviser like myself, if you set me up with truth, like hardcore guttural truth, I can create comedy. I mean, it's like butter. Like I can just walk out and go joke. I mean, it's so easy because we've got emotional truth as a base. Then you just walk in and you add whatever the weird is. You add the talking fish to the scene, and it's like it's unbelievable. So you had a breakup scene, right? So there's a breakup scene between was it husband wife or boyfriend girlfriend?
Well, we were only given so the way that it worked is we were given the first 2 lines. So you kind of had to play with it and create from it what you wanted. So it was like the man coming into the house, she was upset about something, and him apologizing. But what he was apologizing, like I say, why are you here? And he said, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that or something, but we didn't know what it was that he had done. But many things about that scene led into something that I've recently been going through that's taken a long time to heal from.
Yeah.
Myself, and maybe this, I have to go back because this is where I was talking about acting being a healing experience. Had I let myself play through that and trusted that, it would have been a release of something.
That's right.
That needed to be released. So in healing, acting and it's so powerful. Like it's just
and you can help others release too simultaneously.
Yes.
That's why the greatest actors in the world get paid what they get paid, because they help the world release a feeling.
Yes.
Because we see it, we experience it with you, and we go, oh, like I was feeling that too. I watched you release it. It helps me release it. And because you're doing it at such a high level, literally you help other people get through whatever the heck that is that they're going through at the same time as you.
Yes. And which goes back to once you have the knowledge and you know how to get through something, it's with great power comes great responsibility. Isn't that what Spidey said?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
So when you know that and you can use that tool, like I feel this, which is what brought me into acting and wanting to do this, is to be able to help other people heal through those things. And when you want to share something and help a mass, what a better way to do it than through this outlet. So yes.
Awesome. Well, we're so happy to have you. I got the cue here from my producer that we got to wrap up this show here. So,
well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It's been amazing. You were a wonderful guest.
Thank you.
And we're so lucky and privileged to have you as a part of our studio. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Mornings with Matt. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and share this channel. Help us spread this light-driven content to the planet. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Mornings with Matt. Please like, subscribe, and follow us at Deering Acting Studio to keep up with the latest content. For more information on classes, private lessons, or professional development coaching, visit www.deeringstudio.com. Have a Deering day, everyone.
Have a chippy day, everybody.